phosphate demand is slowing, urea prices keep sliding, and all eyes are on India's next tender. So what does it all mean for fertilizer markets? I'm Johanna Bota, and here to break it all down for us is StoneX's VP of Fertilizer, Josh Linville. Josh, great to have you with us.
Thank you. This is always a highlight of my week, so thanks for having me.
So let's start with phosphate demand, shall we? Farmers have been holding back because of high costs, but is this just hesitation, or do you think they will actually cut back for good?
I think it's going to be a combination. And this is the magic question for this fall season as we rapidly get into it. We're 30 days away from widespread application here. I know other places around the world, and we don't know yet. We've never experienced anything quite like this. We looked at some of these phosphate values versus the grains. We've hit the worst ever all time. We've since backed off those values, but still very, very high. The farmer is dealing with very low grain prices and they're struggling financially. So I think when people go to their supplier, whether that be the co-op, the retailer, whoever it is, I think they're being absolutely truthful in saying, hey, I'm probably going to cut back on my application rate because I just don't have the funds to pay for it. Our fear is that we're going to get forward and everybody's going to be in the combine. Yield numbers are going to be big. And listen, we could talk all day about how big or small or whatever the yields are going to be. It's going to be on the higher side. We know that. Big yields remove big nutrients. So is there going to be a change of heart after they're in the combines, after harvest is complete and they're sitting around saying, well, you know what, let's go ahead and put it on. And then you start to layer in, well, what if all of a sudden the farm gate, here in the US, what if we start to expect government checks start coming? Phosphate's one of the first things cut. Does that mean it's one of the first things added back into the rotation? We just don't know. I would say today we're probably expecting somewhere between 25 and 50% demand destruction this fall, but it's a coin flip.
Okay. So we've actually also seen urea prices sliding. So I want to talk about urea for a minute. China's obviously flooding the market and demand is weak. So what does it mean for buyers going forward?
Yeah, and this is a situation we've watched for a very, very long time. The farmer newsletter that we put out monthly, we had talked about this. If and when Chinese exports start to resume, it should add some weakness to it. It's been a fantastic situation because we didn't see much of anything January through June, and all of a sudden July, a big number of tons were exported. August, a huge surge in tons that were exported. So yeah, all these tons are all of a sudden out there in the marketplace that weren't before, lending to a lot of putting a lot of bearishness in the marketplace. This has buyers crawling back and saying, ha, okay, finally, I feel like I can have some say in this marketplace. Values have been coming off. And now it's a matter of trying to figure out, well, who's that next buyer to step in? Who's going to be the next one that says, okay, this is low enough for me. I am willing to take a shot at this number. And again, we're just kind of sitting back and waiting. It's a very slow period of the year. We're not quite sure how this plays out.
That's right. And also, just to follow up that question, everyone in the urea market is also watching for India's next and maybe last tender for 2025. So what impact could that decision have? And what are the pros and cons of waiting to announce versus not announcing?
Yeah, last week we actually heard big, big rumors. The announcement was going to come on Friday. Nothing happened. Start of the week, people were saying, oh, they're coming out with the announcement. Nothing happened. And we've seen this game before. India will sit there when they feel like they've got some power in the marketplace. They'll put out the rumors, hey, we're going to announce it's going to come out this day. The day comes, people get excited, nothing happens. The market gets depressed afterwards. It's a great tool for them to try and push price ideas lower, which obviously helps save them some money. If they come in early, let's say they come in, they're like, hey, we want 1.52 million ton, which is kind of what we think their next tender is going to be to finish out 2025. If they come out quickly, we know the last tender, there was a lot of tons that wanted to sell that didn't get a chance to. Those tons are still out there looking for homes. And they get this world market to themselves. We don't have other world buyers that are stepping in and saying, hey, I also want to buy at this level. Don't forget about me. You get a bunch of different buyers in the market, things start to get heated up again. So by stepping in early, you kind of get the sole attention of the marketplace. However, by waiting longer, let's say they wait a few weeks, middle of October, late October, now all of a sudden you could see price ideas fall even further. We get another 2 or 3 weeks if inactivity in the world, that's 2 or 3 weeks of bearishness in the marketplace. Prices continue to fall. That's money they can put in their pocket. The danger there is that puts it that much closer to world demand starting to step up. Now you could have competition. You could see the prices fall and you could be absolutely right. But by the time your offers are in, everybody else has started to step in. Prices have started to rally. Everybody gets very proud of their product. So it's a very, very razor's thin edge that India is going to be walking for this last tender.
Josh, thank you so much for your time. And thank you for watching. For more financial content, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.